What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
And it's caught in the end zone for a touchdown by Xavion Diaz. A great throw. Diaz wide open. That was a little suspect there.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Guzman's Gridiron, presented by Underground Sports Philadelphia and the Red and Gray Gridiron Group. Kyle Bennett and Coach Guzman, head coach of Vineland High School football, here with you. Coach, a tough matchup on Thursday against Pennsauken. You finish off this start of the season 2-2 on that road trip. Talk to me about just the Pennsauken game, where you felt things kind of went awry, and how you guys are, focusing on putting in the past, getting ready for your first home game of the season finally, and the excitement that is around, being able to play at Gittone Stadium when it truly matters for the first time this season.
Well, when it comes to execution, this past week, the execution wasn't there, and that goes for all three phases of the game. We have to be able to execute on all phases, and again, it was unfortunate, but we didn't, and therefore, we ended up on the losing end of that one.
It was a weird kind of environment to a Thursday game, and with just the ever-changing schedule, and not that it's an excuse, but it is a strange way to start a high school football season. Now that that's kind of in the past, there's only a couple odd and end, days of the week that you guys are going to be playing as the rest of the season unfolds. How nice is it to kind of just put this first quarter of the season to bed, get ready for a nice little homestand, a bye week in there as well, to kind of regroup and see where you guys are in a couple of weeks, but to kind of just be ready to play at home, and kind of knowing your surroundings, knowing your stadium, knowing how the turf at Gittone Stadium plays. How nice is that going into this week?
Again, we're going into another short week. Thursday, 7 o'clock p.m. kickoff at Gittone. It's just nice that we're going to be around our home crowd. Even though we travel well, and again, thank you to all the parents and friends and relatives that have come out to support us and the kids. It's just going to be nice being home and being in a familiar situation, whereas, we're looking at Gittone.
And, I feel like that also assists in kind of just the routine of day-to-day operations throughout a given week. When you're going to be at home, you don't have to plan for, everybody being at the bus on time. You don't have to plan for people getting home at the the proper hour, parents clamoring for that and everything. And, it's tough when you're playing a Thursday night game on the road and then having to go to school the next day. Going into another week of football is tough, but to kind of have just that peace of mind of being like, okay, we're home. Like, we're not traveling. The furthest we're going is right down Landis Avenue, right to Gittone Stadium. Has to be kind of just like a sigh of relief almost.
It really, truly is. The kids have been biting at the bit to play at home. We've been very excited to bring our mainstays, our kids, to their house, at Gittone Stadium, and let them put on a show for their parents, friends, and relatives. So it's gonna be a heck of a night on Thursday, 7 o'clock.
And, with Gittone Stadium, I feel like we don't really highlight it too much just because we're so accustomed to being there and everything. But what is that feeling of coaching at such a historic stadium and institution in the state of New Jersey, where it is a historic landmark? It does have like that old school vibe to it. As soon as you walk through the gates, you feel like you're somewhere special. What is it like as a coach being able to walk through those gates on a game day and feel that energy that is Gittone Stadium?
Well, Gittone Stadium brings with it a lot of lineage, as far as players are concerned. People have donned on that red and gray outfit. So it's a surreal feel when you get there. I was fortunate enough to play on Gittone when it was, grass and a natural field. And I also got to play when it got donned with the new AstroTurf. So it's just a surreal feel knowing that, again, so many athletes have donned on the red and gray and have passed through them gates and played the sport of football and represented their school in a great way in Vineland.
I feel like, too, when I was in high school and even beforehand, like, it was one of those things where we always joked about it, but it was like, hey, we get to tell our kids that we played at Gittone Stadium.
Right.
Even if it was like one snap as a freshman,
Right.
you have that in your back pocket of like, hey, I touched down on the turf at Gittone Stadium. It is that type of arena.
Absolutely is. It's again, it's been the mainstay here at Vineland for it seems like forever. So again, these young gentlemen that don on the red and gray now have to pay homage to those that came before them, and they do.
And it's one of those, I know you're a big soccer fan as well, and where Gittone Stadium is, it does feel like those old school, European soccer stadiums where they're just kind of like implanted in the middle of a neighborhood.
Right.
That's exactly what Gittone Stadium is. I was talking to Doug Diola about it after one of our preseason games or after one of our soccer games earlier this year. And I was like, this kind of does have like a Premier League feel to where like the stadium is plopped right in the middle of a neighborhood. And it's just such a cool thing to see that like, hey, right here is where, football plays. Soccer plays here, lacrosse plays here, and it is just like right in the middle of the city.
Absolutely, it's a hub for our students. They go out there. They're athletes. They're student athletes first and foremost, student athletes, and they represent their school to the utmost. And it's just neat to know that not just football plays there, field hockey plays there, soccer plays there. I mean, a variety of different sports, not to mention our youth programs. They also get to utilize the field. So it's a community-driven field by way of, the Vineland Board of Education, of course. But it's definitely, as you would have put it, you put it right. It's right in the heart of Vineland. And what better facility for that, to go ahead and be there for our kids, our youth, and the community.
And I do think it's cool, too, when we have visiting teams come to play, no matter the sport. They walk in and it's like, whoa, on the outside I didn't know what to expect here. But then you walk in and it is a world-class stadium to go and compete on. And it's always cool to hear visiting parents, visiting athletes just talk about how cool the stadium is and walking in there and playing there and how much they enjoy coming to Vineland to play at Gittone Stadium.
Absolutely. Again, it gives you an awe feeling. I mean, again, being so that I played on it when it was natural grass to as opposed to turf, it's different. And it's not different in a bad way by any means. I know the old timers are they're really stuck on their Gittone where it was natural grass feel. But again, it takes nothing away from that. If anything, in my opinion, it enhances the overall feel, and it's geared for the athlete of today. Most of these kids, when they go on, and I hope they all go on to go play at the college level, there's not many grass fields left. So that way they already have that wherewithal of, all right, my body's accustomed to running on turf. It's totally different. It's a totally different feel from running on a grass surface, natural, to running on a turf surface, which is synthetic. There's a lot of wear and tear on the body. There's a lot of it almost leaves you with a heavy feel. Even us coaches, when we're walking back and forth on the sideline, you kind of leave with like a heavier feel, because it's very bouncy. Mm-hmm. It really gives back to the athlete. So again, our athletes go in, whatever sport it may be, they go in knowing how to play on that surface. So it's pretty dynamic in that attribute.
And I think when all the renovations at Gittone Stadium happened a few years ago, it almost gave it a new lease on life, where it was like you walked in and it was like, dang, like the grass is kind of beat up today. The weather, did its thing to the grass. There's a lot of mud out there. Getting that artificial turf out there, the AstroTurf, and the giant scoreboard and the replay board, like it enhanced just the experience, not only for the players but the patrons as well.
Absolutely. And again, to those hard-nosed old-timers that really want that grass surface, just understand that everything was done with the mindset of, we want to, procure per se the feel of Gittone from its inception, and we want to just enhance its beauty, not diminish from the beauty. And I mean, when you look at that stadium from the home stands out, it's a picturesque feel. Like, it is beautiful. It really is. And when you have that sun going down, I mean, it's just, you see the oranges, the blues, right?
It's one of the best views.
It's very pretty. It's a very, very beautiful stadium. And again, I think it just got enhanced with that AstroTurf and all the other amenities from the Jumbotron and such. So.
And hey, even if you're complaining about it, you still show up, because we see you out there every single week. What is that feel too for these first-time varsity players that are going to have that opportunity at the varsity level to compete at Gittone Stadium for the first time in their varsity careers? What is the energy in the locker room this week amongst those guys? And then for the upperclassmen who have, had their battles out on that field, what is their kind of preparation for these guys to get ready for that arena-type feel? It is like a gladiator battle when you walk into Gittone Stadium, and just the history that is built in there. What is the energy in the locker room this week with the first home game on deck?
Well, the newbies, I can tell you this much: they're they're biting at the bit to play on that surface. Period. Whereas the vets, they know what to expect. They know the feel. So they ultimately rally the younger guys together and let them know it's a very explosive atmosphere. It's a very almost sticky atmosphere. Everything sticks to you. You have people literally lined up around the outside of the fence as well. So it's a very close and personal stadium, if I could put it to you that way. But our fans are great. They always support our kids, and we can't ask enough of our fans.
And it's going to feel extremely real when we hear Daryl Chestnut yelling right after the national anthem hits its peak. And he did that when I was on the team with him in high school, and it was one of those things that's like, okay, it's game time now.
It's game time.
You hear Daryl in the stands. That's carried over from when he was a player to now being a youth coach and showing up for these kids every single night that they're at Gittone Stadium. But you hear that chant that he lets out, and it's like, you get goosebumps. I still get them up in the booth when we're calling games and things. And it just adds to the amenities of Gittone State. You're at a Vineland home game. Even something so subtle like that, it makes it feel like home.
Absolutely. I mean, again, with that gentleman you mentioned, he's not only came up through the system, but he's now part of the system, if you will, giving back to the community. And you're right. When he lets out his chant, people kind of they fall in line with him, and it's nice to see. Again, everything's done in good light for our kids. So It's gonna be a rocking night for us on Thursday, 7 o'clock.
And when you have another Thursday game, it is technically a short week, but
Yes.
since you played last Thursday as well, it is almost like a full week in terms
Right.
of since your last game. What is the back-to-back Thursday preparation like?
So, I mean, again, everything's aimed towards time efficiency, time management. So we're not letting off the gas at all. As far as preparation, everything is geared towards getting our kids as prepared as possible for their opponent. And at the end of the day, kids got to show up to play. Coaches got to show up to coach. And again, we'll find out what goes on Thursday, 7 o'clock.
Film and install day today as we record this, and
Right.
learning from that game against Pennsauken. What are some things that you guys as a staff during the game picked up on that was like, hey, this isn't our brand of football? And when you go back and watch the film, what are some things that kind of confirmed those, viewings on game night? And what are some things that you also picked up on that, moving forward, we have to be better in these departments?
Again, as far as viewing the tape and, it was gut-wrenching at times to watch it. Again, I take total, blame, if you will, for the loss. I understand that. I understand what, wearing the big hat means. But us as coaches, we've got to do better, a better job overall. Whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, we have to do a better job. So, we've had our meetings this weekend, and we're going to make sure that we address that. But as far as, play, we can't play. Players play, coaches coach. So our players got to do their due diligence in doing a better job at, displaying their skill at their pertinent position on the field. So it goes both ways, So, again, but I take that loss again on the chin, and we're looking to bounce back this week.
First home game. First time that we get to talk about our most Vineland player of the week, and playing at Gittone Stadium in the heart of Vineland is always a blast, and I'm excited to see who shows up this coming week. But our MVP, our most Vineland player of the week, is brought to you by the City of Vineland, and the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season, our presenting sponsor for our player of the week. And this week, Coach, I gave it to Donnie St. Jean. He has been a grinder to start this season. He's been willing to be a chameleon almost and say, hey, I'm going to, be versatile and play the positions you need me to play. And he's always been a leader on this team, in the locker room, on the field. Donnie, even in a tough situation, he never quit on Thursday night, was always battling at his, position where he was lined up on the field. And it was something that, it shined to me. And there was another player as well who we saw after the game, Mason Afanador, same type of player in that game where no matter how down and out it might have been, what the situation might have been, those two guys never quit.
That's what you get from our kids. They do not quit. They don't quit on each other. They don't quit on us as coaches. So we're very proud to say that these kids they're fighters, man. They're gonna fight to the very end. Donnie, again, love that kid. He fights for us every single game. He does his absolute best. So again, very well deserved for Donnie St. Jean to get that.
When you have a player like Donnie's caliber, where he's one of the most book-smart players you'll ever see. He probably had this year's playbook memorized within a week. That's just the type of player he is, the type of student of the game he is. But when you also couple that with the leadership skills he has and the way that he is such a glue guy in the locker room, where he's talented, but he's also somebody that's going to connect every single person in that locker room.
Right.
How invaluable is that, at a key position? He's in the trenches week in and week out, battling, getting his jersey dirty every single week,
Right.
how invaluable is not only Donnie's play on the field, but his leadership in the locker room?
Donnie's play on the field is invaluable to us because we know that that job on that edge is going to get solidified. As far as he's a invaluable player for us by way of the locker room, I mean, he's more of a lead by example type of guy. And, I mean, who better to have leading by example than Donnie? I mean, he gives you everything he's got. So, again, well-deserved on his behalf, well-deserved.
And, you know, he's the type of guy, like you said, lead by example. He's doing it in the classroom.
Yep.
He's doing it in the locker room, and he's doing it out on the field. You want to talk about all three phases.
He's
in all three phases during the game and outside of the game.
And you know, I always tell these kids, you know, it's not what you do when you're getting seen by people, right? When you're getting watched, it's what you do behind people, right? When you're not getting watched, how do you act? And this kid's a class act. Period. He serves his community in more than one way, and he also puts on a great, you know, light for the program. He's just that type of caliber player.
And he seems like this year he's embraced that chameleon role where, like, he's willing to play at any position you need to thrust him into. And, you know, last year he was obviously at that nose tackle position. He's still playing a little bit of nose tackle when you guys need him, but embracing that edge rusher, I think, has really suited just his skill sets and being able to use his quickness off the snap of the ball to really enhance his level of play as a football player.
Yeah, he's learned a lot from playing inside the box, so to speak, which also allows him to go ahead and utilize some different skills to the outside. So again, you know, his quickness is on display, his hand speed is on display, and his overall grit and determination to get to the ball carriers on display. So again, Donnie, well deserved. He is the MVP of that game. Yep.
When you have a player, you know, I'm on the sidelines with you after the game, just chopping it up like we always do. And when you have a player who is just asking in every which way how they can get better, and they're a freshman, that stood out to me after that game, where Aiden Zincraft is on the sideline with you, pads in hand, helmet in hand. What can I do to get better? That was like, damn, this kid is going to be special because you're a freshman 4 games into your varsity career, and you're already asking, after a tough loss, back-to-back losses, what can I do to get better?
That gentleman, Aiden Zincraft, is going to be one hell of a football player. I'm telling you, just wait for it. He's developing beautifully. Even after every practice, Coach, what can I do to get better? You know, he's that type of guy. He wants to be as keen and as sharp as humanly possible at whatever position he's playing, whether it's offense or defense and or special teams. This gentleman, you know, he's a pleasure to be around. He's high energy, you know, and he's driven. He's driven to try to be the absolute best football player out there at that respective position. So you watch out for Aiden Zincraft because he's coming.
And when you have that from a player who, it's not the flashiest positions that he's playing. He's playing in the trenches. He's on that offensive line. You know, that's not the flashiest of positions. And former Vineland High School offensive lineman Jamil Demby will tell you the same thing. Right. It's not the flashiest of positions, but when you get your job done, you're going to get rewarded for it. And I think through 4 games, Aiden has been spectacular. And it just stood out to me that, like, immediately after a loss, it was like Rocky Balboa-esque. He wanted to get back in the gym and just be like, all right, let me get better.
Yeah, let me get better. Again, you know, a kid like that, you got to love him. You got to absolutely love him. You want a kid like that on your program. You just want a kid like that. And we're lucky to say that we have kids, plural, like Zincraft, that want to get better, that want to, you know, show out for their hometown, that want to go ahead and make sure they give all their possible due energy to the team to make the team better. So we're lucky in saying that we have that type of caliber kid on our team.
And, you know, on the flip side, a senior leader on this team who you commended after the game when we were walking back to the bus and everything, I think in years past, a game like that would have had him very frustrated. And we talked about his just growth as a person in Mason Afanador.
Yes.
And seeing the way that he led throughout that entire game was extremely commendable on his part. And to see his growth through 4 games this year and the way that he's carrying himself, it's only going to get him, number one, further wherever he wants to go. 2, he's going to get a hell of a lot more looks from the next level the way that he's playing football right now.
Listen, that gentleman in particular has grown immensely from his younger years. You're talking about a gentleman who's, he's made his fair share of mistakes on and off the football field. But guess what? He's not defined by those mistakes. This is a gentleman that truly has learned from his mistakes, that truly wants to make a positive change in his life, and wow, has it shine through on the football field as well. His leadership, again, this is a guy who leads by example, but he's starting to get more vocal, and more vocal in a positive way. It's you don't hear negative stuff out of his mouth. Everything's positive. It's upbeat. It's trying to get his teammates to see, maybe where they can do better, or maybe where, they can help to make things better. So, again, Mason has come a long way, and I'm very, very proud of Mason.
And you can, see it when you're around Mason this year. The aura that's around him is just so different from years past in such an awesome way.
Yeah.
And he's a whole heck of a lot of fun to watch right now. The way he's flying around that field, especially on the defensive side of the ball, is amazing. His speed, I didn't think he could get any faster from watching him in years past. He's like flying on the field. He's gliding on that turf week in and week out.
Yeah. He's giving you everything he's got. This is a kid who doesn't complain, just goes out there, gets the job done, and you will, out of the tackling hats that are going on that ball carrier, Mason's going to be one of them. That I can guarantee you, he's going to be one of them. His hat will be right alongside of his teammates. So kudos to Mason for making that beautiful change in his life.
How much do you think seeing the growth and development year over year and now in the pro level of an Isaiah Pacheco has been an influence for Mason?
I would say not only Pop, but even Jamil. Like, these kids, they watch football, they watch pro football, so they see how these guys carry themselves. And Jamil and Pop carry themselves like straight gentlemen. You know what I mean? Whether it's on the field, off the field, whether it's in front of someone, not in front of someone, they're A-plus guys, period. So I think that shows our kids that, okay, you can be from an edgy town, right? You got a little edge on us, Vineland, right? Millville, right? It's Cumberland County, a little bit of edge. But you could also be a Class A person and show yourself the right way, making sure that you pay homage to the name on your back. You see, because it's not about you. It's about your family name, right? There's so much more involved than just you. So you can't make it about the you show. You got to make it about, wait, if I do X, Y, Z, how's that going to reflect on my family name? How's that going to reflect on my community? And ultimately, how's that going to reflect on the program? Wait, I'm wearing way more hats than I thought I was wearing. You see? And I make these kids understand that. It's so much more than you. Don't be selfish. There is no selfish nothing. You have a last name that means so much. When you really break it down, it means so much. There were so many people before you that carried that last name. Make it count. Make it count in a positive way, in the way that it should count, so that people look at you as such, not the other way around, not the opposite side of that coin.
I think it's a perfect time to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the injury report, get set for the first home game of the 2024 season, and see how the Fighting Clan can bounce back. Plus, we'll talk a little alumni, because our guy Tyreen Powell is back on the football field in a big way, and a pretty cool moment with Isaiah Pacheco's teammates this week. We'll be back. You're watching and listening to Guzman's Gridiron right here on Underground Sports Philadelphia.
I'm Mayor Anthony Finucci. If you're looking for the right location, think Vineland, New Jersey. Our pro-business approach is supported by financial incentives, workforce development programs, and other resources which can give your business a competitive edge. Whether you're starting a new business or expanding to new markets, our business environment, infrastructure, accessibility, and quality of life make Vineland an ideal location. More information about how we can help your business grow can be found at vinelandcity.org. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
Hey, everybody, quick ad break, and I want to talk to you about our amazing sponsor, Allen Associates, returning for a second season here on Guzman's Gridiron. We are extremely thankful to have them on board with us for the 2024 Vineland football season. And if you are looking for a reliable and experienced insurance agency that caters to all your needs, look no further than Allen Associates Insurance Services. With over 6 decades of experience under their belt, they specialize in health insurance, financial services, and accounting. Whether you're a part of the public or private sector, they've got you covered. Their family-owned business currently helps upwards of 300 groups throughout New Jersey, providing them with the best insurance options available. You can easily learn more and access their services by visiting their newly renovated website, Allen Assoc, that's ALLENASSOC.com. So join the family and let them help you secure your future. Contact them today online or by calling 856-692-2250. That's 856-692-2250. Big thank you to Allen Associates for being a proud partner of Guzman's Gridiron. And welcome back, everybody. Thank you to our sponsors and Coach. Going into a new week, we always got to check in on the health status of everybody.
Right.
Make sure everybody's in tip-top shape. How's the injury report looking going into this next matchup against Clearview?
Injury report's looking pretty good. You know, we'll have everyone back that I know of, which is nice. It's nice to be back to being 100% healthy, or you're never 100% healthy.
As close to
100% healthy as a football player as you can be. So we're very, very excited to see what kind of product comes out on that field come Thursday at 7 p.m.
And, of course, our game previews are brought to you by our awesome partners over at Allen Associates. And if you're looking for a reliable and experienced insurance agency that caters to all your needs, look no further than Allen Associates Insurance Services. With over 6 decades of experience under their belt, they specialize in health insurance, financial services, and accounting. And whether you're a part of the public or private sector, they've got you covered. Their family-owned business currently helps upwards of 300 groups throughout New Jersey, providing them with the best insurance options available. You can easily learn more and access their services by visiting their newly renovated website, which is linked in the description of both the audio and video versions of this podcast. So join the family and let them help you secure your future, and contact them today online or by calling 856-692-2250. That's 856-692-2250. And big thank you to Allen Associates for being a proud partner of Guzman's Gridiron. Coach, game coming up against another familiar opponent. You guys seem to always be in the mix with Clearview, even dating back to when Pop was here.
Right.
What is the excitement level about playing kind of, we talked last year, one of those new age rivals where Clearview always seems to be popping up on the schedule now, and they're not too far down the road, so it's always a fun and exciting matchup whenever you guys show up on the gridiron.
Yeah, very well coached team, top to bottom. So it's not going to be a gimme at all by any means. We're going to have to earn it as we try to every week. But again, we're looking at a team that's ground and pound heavy. Pick their spots in the air, and all I can say is we will be ready. We will be ready this week. There's a lot riding on this, and the kids understand that. The kids understand it.
When you do have a matchup against a team, like you said, that is, very run heavy, and you're coming off an opponent who has a very skilled and elusive running back like we saw against Pennsauken,
right.
How much preparation does that kind of help you in terms of getting ready for your next opponent, even though it is a different player, but knowing that, back-to-back weeks you're going to have your hands full on the ground?
Absolutely. Ultimately, it has just made us really hone in on all the little details that may have missed last week. But you best assure yourself that we're gonna make sure we dot those I's and cross those T's this week.
And defensively, after the Eastern game, you talked about, tackling had to be improved. And I think there was an improvement, obviously not to the overall standard that I think you guys know that this team is capable of.
Right.
But going into this week, what has that attention to detail been on finding your spot and making sure that you follow through on every single tackle you're attempting to make?
Right. So, every coach has been, basically drilled into making sure that everything that we do this week is detail-oriented. We want to clean up all the mistakes that we did these past couple weeks and come and show up as a prepared and ready-to-play product. And that's what our home crowd will see come Thursday. Kids that are going to be well-prepared, that are going to know exactly what their assignment and alignment is, and they're just going to be flying around playing fast.
When you have pretty clean injury report and you have that full stable of running backs that Coach T.O. loves to, get mixed in every single one of them, how much are you guys wanting to or hoping to kind of rely on the running game being a factor in this game for you guys on the offense to alleviate some of the pressure off of Elijah? A couple of back-to-back starts where some risky interceptions that have happened, some turnovers that he needs to clean up, and I'm sure he'd sit right here and tell us the same thing. What are some things that you guys are working on to make life easier for him as a freshman quarterback, and learning through this first quarter of the season what you guys can do to alleviate some of the mistakes and potentially, hone in on the running game a little bit with the talent that is in that backfield?
Ultimately, Elijah's a great kid. Yeah, he's a freshman, but he's wise amongst his years, beyond his years rather. So all we did was we made sure that he understood all his faults and what he did. But we're not taking stuff off his plate. If anything, we're adding more to his plate. He's fine. You're talking about a young man who's very smart, knows the game of football, is learning how to really read defenses very well. So again, we're not taking away from his plate at all. If anything, we're adding more responsibility to him. And we make sure that we tell him, look, the quarterback position is a responsibility-heavy position. You're responsible for a lot. So, we're not shying away from, all right, let's cut the playbook down for him. No. He's like I said, he's actually getting fed more. So he'll be ready. He'll be ready to rock and roll come Thursday.
When you do go through, the ups and downs of a season as a quarterback at that position in general, but also as a freshman quarterback, we've talked about it, having, the upperclassmen skill position players there, I think has to be just such a nice relief for him to be like, all right, let's focus in on what's going wrong and how we can fix it.
Yeah, it's nice to have the upperclassmen really try and help him develop, and they do a great job. They do, top down all the senior, junior leaders. They do a great job of just staying positive with him. Even if he throws a pick or, has a drop, fumble, whatever the case may be, the kids are just upbeat and they're positive with him instead of just, getting down on him and talking down on him. That's not what goes on in that huddle. So it's good knowing that our upperclassmen are doing their due diligence to make sure that his game elevates as well.
And I think one of the bright spots so far, too, throughout this season, win or loss, is there hasn't really been much talk about the offensive line. As a brand new unit together, I think they've done a fantastic job developing as a unit. They haven't developed individually, really.
Right.
And it's been all together. They've gone through the ups and the downs together, and they're learning together. And I think when you have so many new starters on an offensive line, it can be tough. It can be a challenge throughout the start of a season. And I think the way that those guys on that offensive line, especially with another freshman out there too, in Aiden Zincraft, have really blended together and have come together to really help Elijah as well in his protections. I think the offensive line has been such a bright spot to start the year in so many ways.
The offensive line, I'll tell you right now, Mr. Coach Sam, he's doing an excellent job. bringing these kids together and really honing in on their individual skill sets. Coach Gilbert as well helping out and him, really positioning the kids' details on the field with their rules and such. But technique, it's been something that us coaches keep drilling into them. Technique. Where you lack in size, you can make up for in technique. So, again, kudos to the offensive line coaches. They're doing their due diligence.
Going into this game, what are some things that you guys as the staff have picked up on this year's iteration of Clearview football that, you want to hone in on? Obviously, that running game is going to be a key defensively, but what are some things that, you've picked up on their side of the ball defensively that you guys feel you are going to be comfortable being able to do some things, obviously without giving things away.
Right.
But, that you've picked up on is like, okay, like we feel comfortable putting that out there this week and feeling like you can take that next step forward and get back in the win column by doing those things well.
Again, they're a well-ran bunch. The coaches do a great job over there at Clearview. So, we're going to have our work cut out for us. It's not going to be a gimme game at all. But, again, we're going to take our spots and pick our spots when to throw. We're going to go ahead and make sure that, the run game is efficient. And as far as defense goes, we're just going to make sure that we fly around making plays, being opportunistic, We tell our kids, we don't just do these drills, the punch drill, the rip drill. We don't do those just to do it. Those are opportunistic plays that are waiting for us to do. So, come game time, you got to make it happen. You got to put it all together. And yeah, everything happens within seconds, but all it takes is, somebody punching the ball out or someone ripping that ball out of somebody's hand to ultimately, it could be a game changer. So, opportunistic football on defense and capitalizing on, on plays that we know offensively we can go ahead and execute on this football team. Those are going to be the keys.
When you have somebody like Charles Clark, who seems like he hasn't skipped a beat since returning from his injury a couple weeks ago.
No, he hasn't.
He just seems like he's getting better and better as the weeks go by. How comfortable is he, a couple weeks into it now being back, and how's he feeling, just coming off such a serious injury where he was out for an entire season and then some to start this year as well. It seems like he's really getting back in his bag and feeling comfortable making the shifts and cuts he has to make in order to be the best version of himself on the field.
Yeah, Charles is just dynamic, man. He's special. He's special. Whether you want him hard-nosed running, whether you want him finesse running, whether you want him going ahead and juking somebody out of their boots. I mean, this kid he's got all the gifts that you could want in a back. So again, with him being healthier every week now, you're seeing him do a little more every week. So I'm really anticipating him having a heck of a game this Thursday, but time will tell.
And, it's got to feel great for him knowing that he's going to be able to run on a surface that he is accustomed to. Right. And it's not changing week over week now. And coming back from a serious leg injury, you want to feel as comfortable as possible.
Absolutely.
Going into a game, this will be his fourth game this season, now going on a surface that he knows how that turf cuts, how he can step and plant. I feel like like you said, he's poised to have a dynamic game this week if all goes well for him.
Yeah, he's just he's that type of player where, if he gets an inch, that inch might be 10, 15 yards downfield because he can make his own hole. He can create his own hole. He has great awareness, great vision. Pad level's always low. He's just a true running back. So I'm looking forward to see him run this Thursday.
And when you have, so many complementary running backs to Charles Clark, whether it be Omar Davis or George Figueroa III,
right.
Like the shiftiness and the uphill running that is in that stable of running backs that you guys have, it's every type of runner that you could imagine or create in Madden or college football 25.
Right.
Like, you create a player, you assemble all of them, and you've got the Infinity Stones, and you're ready to snap like Thanos, and that's Coach T.O. He's Thanos with those running backs.
Oh, yeah. T.O. is having a heck of a time right now. He's loving it. He has a stable of backs that he can rely on. Again, he's going to go ahead and mix it up along with the OC. And, we're going to see who gets the that good old bell rung, because who knows who's going to start. Any one of these kids can start for any respective team. So it's going to be fun to see who actually dons the starting hat for the running back room come Thursday.
4 weeks into this season, and, a full season and 4 weeks now for Coach Hendricks at the OC position. You as the head coach, how have you seen him just grow in this role now as the weeks go by, and seeing how much more comfortable he's getting on the offensive side of the ball? And we've talked about it before in weeks past. Like, Coach Hendricks is a defensive-first guy. He played defense at the highest level possible and got to the mountaintop and has a ring on his finger to prove it.
Right.
How have you seen his progression and growth and just comfortability now being on the offensive side of the ball throughout, from where he was game 1 of last year to where he was game 1 of this year, and then just through these first 4 games of the year?
You're talking about, in Coach Hendricks, a passionate guy. He's passionate about his craft and football, and and his role. He accepted the role of OC, and he wants to be the best at the OC position. So, again, you're looking at somebody that just wants to keep learning, that makes sure that the decision making is just so that the kids can get the best out of the play calling. And again, for him, you have 1 year under your belt and a half a season. I think he's moved mountains in that short period of time, in coming up with selective play calling and getting to know better how to manage an offensive game. So I'm very proud of Coach Hendricks.
How unique do you think that is, where you have somebody who is so defensive first and learned their entire football career on the defensive side of the ball to embrace the offensive side of the ball and just pick it up so naturally, where there can be a learning curve there. It can be something that you go into and you fail because it's something you're not used to. You're not accustomed to that side of the ball. And to see the way that Coach Hendricks has been able to just seamlessly pick up on so many tendencies, so many different unique offensive game plans has been so cool to watch from the outside looking in on a coaching staff. And I feel like that's not normal in most cases.
Well, again, Coach Hendricks has an awesome supporting cast, and Coach Fitton, Coach Shelton, Coach Sam, Coach Gilbert. Everyone helps each other. He goes ahead and he has a lot of open dialogue with his guys, and they all contribute. They all contribute to a steadfast offensive dynamic. So, again, none of these guys have this chip on their shoulder that ego's out of this world. No, they're all there to help each other. So it's just nice to see that room come together as one. It's really a pleasure to watch.
At the Vineland Municipal Utilities, we understand that when our business community thrives, we all win. As a not-for-profit utility, our reliability, lower cost of operations, and flexibility in meeting customer needs make doing business in Vineland beneficial to your bottom line. What's more, we are able to do so while maintaining our commitment to environmental stewardship. We look forward to helping you achieve your business goals now and for years to come. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
Cut to our alumni segment here and check in on our former Vineland High School athletes doing big things at the next level. And it's always fun when we see one of them back out on the field, and that is number 22, Tyreen Powell, back out there in his personal revenge game, playing against Virginia Tech this past weekend, and Rutgers gets a big-time win, 26-23 against Virginia Tech. And Rutgers is doing their thing in this newly renovated Big Ten, if you will, with so many new teams, so many new faces, but they continue to roll under Coach Schiano, and to see Tyreen back out there is always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Nothing. We wish nothing but the best to you and your family, Tyreen. Heck of a player. I mean, anyone in their right mind would want a team full of Tyreen Powells, because he's that special of a kid, man. He's or a young man now. He just brings all the intangibles to the stage. He brings detail-oriented dynamic to the stage, and he's just an all-out force to be reckoned with on that field, man. I mean, when I tell you I used to always say here, he was like an albatross. He could cover so much ground. I mean, I'm telling you right now, this young man will be donning the 3 letters NFL. I know it for a fact. And not only that, he is so special for any team. In this case, Rutgers, that leadership ability of that young man is out of control. I mean, people rally behind his energy. His energy is special. So you see that on the defensive side of the ball. You see that when he goes in, speaks to his offensive guys, getting them riled up.
You see it when he steps in and plays quarterback here, when he's a senior in high school, dominating at the safety position. Quarterback goes down. It's like, hey, Tyree, we need you to throw the rock for us. And goes on a playoff run doing it.
Yeah, he's, again, one of those guys that the word special will travel with him, because he really is special and selfless. You want to talk about selfless play? He would do whatever. Coach, if we needed him on the line, he would have played line. He would have been one of the linemen. No problem, Coach. Selfless play leads to this type of young man where, his energy just is contagious. Again, vis-a-vis like Pop, like Jamil. This is the type of kid that we have coming through these hallways. And I can't say enough about that kid. That he's going to be donning those 3 letters, and I'm going to be right there at that party. You're going to be alongside with me. And along with, I'm sure Jamil will be there. Pop's going to be there. This is just a special
sure both
guy.
Melton brothers will be
there.
They'll
be there. They'll be there. They'll all be there. I mean, the good thing about this young man is that the relationships he's built throughout the years, they're everlasting, man. So these guys will come out for him. Pop will come. He'll take a flight and make sure that he's there for him. And vis-a-vis, he would do the same for Pop. And Jamil.
That's why we saw Tyree at the ESPYs this summer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this is what type of dynamic you have flowing through here, what type of energy. And that's why I love these kids, man. I really do. They're special kids.
When you see one player returns, we obviously talked about Pop's injury last week, but going into their game last night, it seemed like every single post the Chiefs had, all the players on the field warming up in Isaiah Pacheco player shirts, those shirts you see with different photos of Pop and everything, and he's posting it on his Instagram and everything. I thought that was one of the coolest, just touching tributes to, it's like, hey, our guy's down, but he's not out.
Yeah, it's again, that energy, that it's contagious, man. It's so contagious that these guys are taking it upon themselves to wear Pop's shirts, right? It speaks volumes. It really does. He's always been a leader, always. Since Pop got here as an 8th grader going on to 9th grade, he was picked by his teammates to be the captain as a true freshman. As a true freshman here at Vineland High School. Then again picked at Rutgers to be a captain. Then again picked at good old Kansas City. I mean, it's just these type of guys, they're not around everywhere. So when you get a chance to interact with one of these type of gentlemen, it's very, very special. It's a very intimate relationship, if you will. that you really like. Wow, I was just talking to. Isn't he in the NFL? He's such a down to earth. Jamil, down to earth. You won't even know.
Mm-hmm.
You pass by. The only reason you might know Jamil plays in the league is because he's a Giant.
Right.
You know what I mean? His back is like
how
this.
are you,
Yeah,
sir?
hi. You know, that's it. Other than that, you see Pop walking around, big, in shape, cut up, right? But he's like us. He's just chills out, has a great time, loves to eat food, good food. He's a foodie, by the way. He is a foodie.
A jokester.
Hey, he'll take it. Listen, he'll take his mom's food over anyone. He'll take Miss Jody's food over anyone. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But he's a foodie, man. He's a normal guy, man. And you know, again, the tribute that his team paid him in wearing those shirts. I mean, if that doesn't tell you what type of volume that Pop has in that locker room, then I don't know what.
He's the man. And obviously, best wishes to his recovery and everything.
Absolutely.
And I saw him on his Instagram story rolling around on a scooter, and I'm sure even though he's injured, he's probably enjoying the heck out of just being able to roll around and be like, what's up, guys?
I'll be
I
back.
can hear him now.
I'll be back.
And, you know, obviously college football in full swing, too. We have so many players playing at the next level, whether it's at Fairleigh Dickinson, at Marist, you know, at Arcadia. Like, the list goes on and on with how many players are playing at the next level. And college football has been a wild, you know, beast to start this season so far in so many different ways. And it's one of those things that when you start seeing – so many NFL players that you grew up watching and their sons are now playing at the collegiate level. It's a weird feeling hearing those names again, and we've obviously been hearing them year over year in the NFL draft now. But how about that Arch Manning? That Manning lineage is crazy.
Out of control. Another Manning in the fold, right? And he's a quarterback too, isn't he?
Yep, it's for those Texas Longhorns.
It just keeps going, man. Like, what are we doing?
And he's just the nephew of Peyton and Eli.
Yeah, like what are we doing here? That family's got something. That genetic bloodline needs to get bottled up.
Needs to be studied.
Yeah, it needs to get bottled up. But I'll tell you what. I give a lot of kudos to all our guys who are now playing at the college level, who've been playing at the college. Some of our kids have been playing for a little while now, and doing great. They're doing great things, man, and they're finishing. As you know, as Coach Russo used to say, right, when he was here, when you start something, you finish, right? You finish, and our guys, they not only start something, they do finish. They do get their degree. And ultimately, that's what we want for our guys, to make sure that they become productive members of society and to give back to their communities. So, you know, keep doing your thing, guys. We're very, very proud of you. You know, and just make sure that you guys become what you're supposed to, which is role models for your community, for the other younger guys, because they're looking up to you whether you want to believe it or not.
100%. And shout out to all of our alumni. And if you're watching, leave a comment in the YouTube comment section. We'd love to hear from you week in and week out. But, Coach, going into this matchup against Clearview, what are the expectations from you, from the staff, and what are some things that, you know, you're hoping to see come to fruition on Thursday night, 7 o'clock kickoff at Gittone Stadium? That will be on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel as well to watch along with myself and Rich Scarpa up in the booth. That will inevitably and hopefully get you guys to 3-2, back above 500, and we're sitting here next week talking about a big-time win at home.
Ultimately, we want the word execution to be the pillar of Thursday night. We want to be able to execute on all three phases of the game. Again, I say it, and I sound like a broken record, but mistake-free football. We need to play mistake-free football and execute on all phases. And, you know, we're wanting this W like you wouldn't believe. So, again, nothing's going to be given to us. We understand that. But if our kids come, execute on all three phases, and play mistake-free football, then we should be looking down the barrel of a win.
Thursday night, 7 p.m. kickoff, Gittone Stadium. Come out, watch the game in person. It is one of the best stadiums to come and watch a game at, no matter what level of football it is. Myself and Rich Scarpa up in the booth. Doug Deal will be producing the entire broadcast. If you're watching across the country, wherever you may be, tune in on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel. And, of course, subscribe to Guzman's Gridiron wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It has its own RSS feed if you want to just listen to this show. It is also on the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast feed as well if you want to tune into our flagship show as well throughout the week. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's where you can watch this show week in and week out. It's like live TV because we set it as a premiere. We're in the chat so you can interact with us as the show premieres. And be sure to follow Vineland Football on social media at VinelandFB on Twitter and Vineland_football on Instagram. And, Coach, hopefully we're sitting here next week talking about a big-time win, getting ready for another home game, which who would have thought we'd be saying back-to-back home games the way that this season started.
We're not on the road anymore.
Very excited to be at home for a little stretch here. But best of luck on Thursday night.
Thank you.
And, as always, everyone, go Vineland.